Okay, welcome everybody. Today is a master's webinar for University of Florida. We just opened the room, so I can see lots of people are filling the room, so that's great. We're just going to wait a second here. We're up to over 100 people already, so everyone can kind of get in, and then we'll get started. Okay, I can see that we're leveling off just over 100 students. So I think this will be a good time to get started. And we know that many more people will be joining us. So welcome to our master's webinar for University of Florida. We're delighted that you took time out of your busy schedules to join us today. We wanted to run this even a week sooner, but it's so busy and we're still processing so many applications. We held off just a little bit longer than we normally do. And we actually have another one later this week for students from India. So welcome to our event today. So I just want to talk about the attendees for a second, because I sent the invites out to everybody and I know there was some confusion from some of our students. So this webinar is traditionally where we invite all those students that are admitted to a Master's of Engineering program, any of our engineering departments for the fall, so for fall 2022. And that can be any student that is interested in coming to be on our campus in person, coming to Gainesville, coming to the US, or they already reside in the US and taking on-campus classes, or to those that are in our EDGE online programs. We do have many of our departments offer online master's degrees, and then we have a few other flavors of online and distance learning and some special programs. So we definitely invited all of students like yourselves in those categories, but we're still processing some applications. We had such a great volume this year, and it's been very hectic with many areas with our great graduate staff in our departments and our staff in our Office of Admissions who work with tens of thousands of applications. So the bottom line is there's still some applications that are being processed. There are still some students that are being seriously considered for admission to our master's programs. We are reviewing them, we've been reviewing them, but we haven't finished the final touches with the department and admissions in order to be able to send out those final official admission offer letters. So we still invited all of you as well. So for the few of you today that received an invite to this but did not yet get your official admission, you are one of those being seriously considered. And I encourage you to stay in touch with us, and most specifically the graduate staff for the department that you applied to. And many of them are here today, and you can chat with them individually online. So I just wanted to clear all of that up to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we have a lot of slides to go through today. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to let a lot of people introduce themselves as well. So as we get going today, there is one poll question. So I'm going to ask our tech support, Mike Seifert, to launch that poll. It's just one question that wants to know that if you plan to enroll in your master's degree at University of Florida, yes or no, or if you're still deciding. So answer that as you go along. And if you have any questions, please direct those in the chat as we get going today. So we'll start with introductions. Did Associate Dean Toshi, did you make it in yet? I know I got a text that he was, there he is. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, welcome. My name is Toshi Nishida, and I'm Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and I'm Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering. I'm very glad to be on this webinar and look forward to your questions.
Great. And I'm Mike Nazareth. You've heard from me consistently throughout this year, many of you, and some maybe even last year. And I do our graduate recruitment for the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering here at UF across all of the departments. Jacob? Can we hear Jacob or see Jacob?
He's actually back on his way down. Oh, no, he's on his way up to the office. He was up here for this
Okay,
one.
we'll go with Ethel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Ethel Porras. I'm one of the advisors from the International Center and work specifically with students coming from abroad to study here on a student visa. And I'll talk a little bit more about that process later in the presentation.
Okay, and then one of our department staff who is particularly important because we received the most master's applications from computer and information sciences and engineering, Christina Sapp. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend today, but wants to make sure that you all know that she's thinking of you and she's still processing those applications as quickly as possible. Cynthia? Cynthia, are you muted?
I was, sorry about that.
There we go.
I'm Cynthia Turner, the graduate advisor for ECE. And nice to meet everyone. I hope I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay, great. Ade?
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome and glad to have you here. My name is Ade and I am one of the academic advisors at the Material Science and Engineering department. We have the Material Science and Nuclear Engineering program. So hope to be able to answer any questions that you may have today.
Okay, great. Samat?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm a faculty in the chemical engineering department and also the master's program coordinator. So I can help answer any questions about chemical engineering. Feel free to drop questions in the chat as we go along. Thank you.
All right, Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Ellers in Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I am excited to meet all of those who have declared a mechanical and aerospace, and I welcome you and I hope to see you in the fall.
All right, great. Okay, did we get Krista? I'm sorry, did we skip this one?
That's okay. I'm here. Hi, everyone. Glad to see all of you and look forward to chatting with you. I'm Krista. I'm the graduate academic advisor in the biomedical engineering department, and feel free to reach out with any questions about our master's programs.
Great. Catherine, I'm sorry, we have Christina's name above you, but it's Catherine.
Oh, yes. I'm Catherine Pantorno. I'm the graduate advisor in Industrial and Systems Engineering. Thanks for joining today, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, and then I see Jacob's icon here on the Zoom. Jacob, you want to try this again? I see you're still showing as mute. There we go.
All right, nice to meet everyone. My name is Jacob Stevens. I'm the coordinator of graduate recruitment. I work here with Mike Nazareth and assisting in all we do, and I am a lifelong Gainesville native.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a lot of slides on a lot of good information for you to hear for you today on lots of areas. But again, if you have specific questions or questions about anything, you can see we brought the whole team here from all areas. They're all very knowledgeable, so feel free to ask questions as you go along in the chat. So University of Florida, if you're not aware, is a very large place. It's a very large operation, more than 57,000 students here, and a good portion of those are graduate students. So we have a lot of graduate students, not just undergraduates. We have colleges, almost all colleges that you can imagine for all disciplines, and nearly $1 billion in annual research expenditures. And a lot of that goes towards the graduate programs and entities on our campus. And then we have a couple lakes. We're here in Florida and we enjoy the oceans, we enjoy the lakes, etc. So at this time, we have a few slides on some high-end overview of University of Florida and some specific details within our college. And so I've asked our Associate Dean, Toshi Nishida, to share a few of these with you here today. Toshi?
Thank you, Mike. And so first of all, again, welcome to this webinar. Some of you from locations throughout the world may be wondering about the situation with COVID. The situation has improved significantly, and in terms of restrictions, the restrictions have been lifted due to the very low case counts. Next slide, please. So we'd like to describe some of the key points about the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering. It's named after Dr. Herbert Wertheim, an EC alumnus who generously donated to the college, and together with support from the university and additional sources has led to a transformation of the college. The college has hired many new faculty and has continued to expand its infrastructure and capabilities. And I'll describe some of these in the next few slides. The Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering believes that engineering and computer science can transform the future in areas that are critical to society. The tagline for the College of Engineering is powering the new engineer to transform the future. And that new engineer is one who's technically excellent and also capable of leading and innovating in a world which is global and interdisciplinary. And then we also strongly believe that world-changing innovation requires a workplace and culture which is diverse and inclusive. And the college has many initiatives in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we'd like to answer the question, why choose the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering? The reasons for choosing our college is, one, the college is comprehensive, collaborative, and growing. As I mentioned, we've been hiring a tremendous number of talented new faculty and instructional faculty. We have added infrastructure. Our 61st building in the College of Engineering is the new Wertheim Laboratory for Engineering Excellence. And the 62nd building is under construction, which is the new Data Science and Information Technology building, which will become the headquarters for both the Department of Computer Information Science Engineering, as well as Electrical and Computer Engineering, and include many state-of-the-art laboratories, including VR and AR labs. Another reason to choose our college is because the college is inventive and translational. The College of Engineering has produced more licenses and options than many leading universities across the country. And third, a reason to choose the college is because the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering is more diverse than many other colleges of engineering across the country, as listed by these significant milestones here. Next slide, please. In terms of the breadth and depth of the offerings in the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering, these are described in the column on the right. There are 16 degree programs in 11 departments, which cover every key engineering area, with the exception of petroleum engineering. In terms of the students, we have over 10,000 students. And as Mike mentioned, we have a significant number of graduate students, around 3,000 out of that 10,000 plus. As I mentioned, the college has a talented, diverse faculty numbering over 300, and the College of Engineering was established over 100 years ago in 1910. Next slide, please. In terms of rankings, the College of Engineering, the University of Florida has continued to rise in the rankings of top national public universities, and the progression is shown in the table on the left, rising consistently and steadily, and most recently ranked in the top 5 as of the 2022 U.S. News and World Report. Next slide, please. And this shows the company that the College of Engineering and the University of Florida keep. And this is due to the outstanding contributions of our outstanding faculty, staff, and students. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the infrastructure of the College of Engineering is extensive, and the numbers of key facilities continues to increase. And right now, as I mentioned, we are at present building number 62, which is the new data science and information technology building, which will be named Malachowski Hall after another alumnus of the college and also electrical and computer engineering, Chris Malachowski, who is a co-founder of NVIDIA and who made a generous donation towards that building. Next slide, please. And this is the picture for the 61st building, which opened in fall of 2020, the Herbert Wertheim Laboratory for Engineering Excellence. And that includes state-of-the-art biotech lab, prototyping labs, as well as collaboration spaces and innovative classrooms. Next slide, please. A key initiative of the University of Florida, of which the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering is playing a major role, is the AI initiative. And UF, in partnership with NVIDIA, has now the fastest AI supercomputer in higher education. For those of you who are interested in technical details, it consists of the most advanced AI software integrating 140 NVIDIA DGX A100 systems with over 1,000 A100 Tensor Core GPUs. And some of the processing specs are also listed here. This is infusing the curriculum as well as the research across the university, but particularly in the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering, with many aspects of AI and applied AI, machine learning, and data analytics. Next slide, please. This is a description of the new data science and IT building that I mentioned. It comprises a $150 million investment, and it will be essentially the home of the AI University, including headquarters of the Computer Information Science and Engineering and Electrical and Computer Engineering departments, as well as innovative classrooms and highly experiential labs, such as VR, AI, cybersecurity, IoT, and GPU labs. And as I was just in a college meeting just before this, and the dean mentioned that this new building is still on track for completion and occupancy in summer of next year. Next slide, please.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a pleasure to talk to you. And we hope that a large number of you choose to make the University of Florida Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering your home for your graduate studies. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Toshi. So I see a few more have joined on since we started. So if you have questions, we have a team of at least 10 or more of our graduate staff and faculty members. Feel free to ask any questions you like in the chat as we're going along. This webinar is for those admitted Masters of Engineering to any of our departments at University of Florida, whether it's an on-campus or an online program, as well as a last batch of students that are being seriously considered for admission, and we're still going through the last stages of processing in the departments and with our UF Office of Admissions. So another thing is that we will be posting a recording of this entire webinar, as well as all of the slides. I will try to have those up on our websites by no later than Friday. We're going to post this one and then our other webinar on Thursday. So by Friday, and then I will send an email out to all of you once again for those that could and could not attend with a specific website address. So don't feel like you have to be writing all of this material down. Also, there's one poll question if you plan on enrolling. So if you just joined us, feel free to answer that today. So I know that many that are online today are international students from other countries, and there's always a great deal of more additional detailed information and requirements. So one of our representatives, Ethel, is here from the University of Florida International Center.
Hi, everyone. So this part of the presentation is going to be applicable to students who plan to obtain a student visa to come study here at UF. Anyone admitted to a fully online program is not going to need to seek a visa. And then the domestic student, of course, would not need a visa. Today, I'm just briefly going to go over the estimated startup costs, the I-20 process, the visa, arriving in the United States, and maintaining status once here. Next slide, please. Okay, so for graduate students for I-20 purposes, the minimum amounts that students will need to show that they have financial ability are noted there. It's about almost 50,000 for one academic year, and that's considering at least the one fall, spring, and summer term. The numbers might look a little bit different from what you may have seen from your department websites or from admissions. That's okay, they can be different. These are just the base numbers we use for the I-20 processing. Anyone that receives the achievement award, that credit is accounted for. So those students will have to show about 45,500 or so that they have available for the year in order to obtain the I-20. We advise that when coming to the US, you try to have at least about 15,000 or so in readily accessible funds to pay for startup costs. So you can travel with a credit card perhaps, or maybe some traveler's checks, or even some cash on hand. Be aware that any cash in excess of $10,000 that you travel with does have to be declared to customs. So that's another thing to keep in mind. When coming to the US, you're also able to open a bank account and you can arrange for funds transfer that way as well. Regarding the I-20 process, so very, very important. The first step is for the departments to submit an I-20 request with our office on your behalf if you're an admitted international student. Once our office receives that I-20 request, we contact you with detailed information about how to complete the I-20 application. Once you complete your steps and submit the documents requested, we review those submitted applications, process the I-20s, and let you know when the I-20s are available for download. You then log back into our system, download and print your I-20, and you will use that I-20 for the visa process. The very first step is for departments to let us know of your admission. We then contact you with the details, and then we process your I-20 applications. Next step, next slide. Okay, so I think there was maybe a slight skip, but that's okay. So once you receive the I-20, you will be using that I-20 to set up your visa appointment. For those that are going to be seeking the student visa, you're going to complete a form called the DS-160. Make sure that you keep a copy of that because it's only accessible for 30 days upon completion, because you're going to need it for when you actually arrive here. We're going to ask for a copy of it. So that's just something to keep in mind. Once you schedule your visa appointment with the embassy, then you present yourself in person for the appointment. And once your visa is granted, you can make your travel arrangements to come to the United States. Upon arriving in the United States, you would be then checking in with our office to complete the immigration check-in. And there's various orientations that you may have to attend for the graduate school and for your department. There may be some separate orientations that you will be attending with them as well. Next slide, please. Okay. And so once you are here as an international student, the main things to remember to maintain proper visa status is maintaining the enrollment requirements and being very careful with any employment or training in the United States. So enrollment for graduate students is 9 credits. That's what's considered full-time each fall and spring semester. If the student is admitted in a summer term, then enrollment in 6 credits is required. But if not admitted in a summer term or not graduating in a summer term, enrollment in summers is generally optional unless it's required for some department process. But generally, once students enroll full-time in fall and spring semesters, they're able to take the summer off. Regarding employment and training, employment on campus is allowed for international students for up to 20 hours a week, but not more than 20. And any off-campus employment does need authorization for work. So anytime a student is interested in doing an internship or some other type of practical training activity that is going to be off campus, or anytime the work will exceed 20 hours, it's very important to check with our office in case CPT or OPT authorization is needed to work in the United States. Working without having the proper authorization is a serious visa violation, so we want to make sure that we let students know to check with us so that they can avoid any problems in the future. Next slide, please. All right, so if you have case-specific information, there is a total currently of 6 advisors that work with different parts of the alphabet. So you're welcome to contact a specific advisor according to your surname. During this presentation, I'm also able to answer questions for anybody that has visa or I-20 related questions. More information is available on our website. The best way to communicate with us is either by email or by attending the virtual office hours that we hold to talk to students about any questions they may have. So welcome, and hope this information has been informative, and let me know if you have any questions that I could assist with during this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Ethel. So yes, for all the international students that are attending this webinar, please ask any of your specific questions now to Ethel, along with for your departments, and she'll be sure to get those answered for you. So this is what our graduate student population looks like. This is the exact numbers from fall 2021 enrollment. So for last fall, mid-August, you can see about 2/3 of the graduate students here are the master's students, and you can see the actual breakdown of those that were enrolled for each department, as well as the PhD students. And I know for some of you that come as master's students, you want to complete a PhD, and every year we have some of our master's students that complete the degree and then you continue on with the PhD in their department. So that can be an option for all of you as well, and you would be welcome to do that. So what I'd like to do now is I would like to let each department just talk for a little bit about anything they would like or just highlight for their department. And we will start off with our biomedical engineering department.
Okay, hi everybody. I didn't realize I was first up, so we'll see how this goes.
I always want to know about courses, how to get courses as well. So.
Okay, so in our master's programs, we have 2 tracks. We have a thesis and a non-thesis program. To complete the non-thesis final project, which is a requirement, we offer several ways to do that. You can complete an internship, you can complete an academic research project. There are several other ways to do that. Those are probably the most popular ones. We also have a thesis master's, so if you're interested in pursuing that option, we provide that as well. We have faculty that supervise our master's students in all 6 of our areas of research, which are biomaterials and regenerative medicine, biomechanics and bionics, and biomedical imaging, biomedical data science and modeling, cell and tissue engineering, and neural engineering. And I did have to cheat because I always usually leave one out. So I had a little cheat sheet next to me. So yeah, that's my little spiel. Registering for courses is a little different in our department at the graduate level. Just to let you know, we register all of our students at this in our graduate academic office. So if you happen to get admission late for some reason, or you apply late and there's no worries, and you don't need to register for courses right away, we control all of that, so we will make sure that you get into the courses that you need.
Okay, great. Sumant, would you like to highlight anything for chemical engineering? And also considering that these are admitted master students, some have already picked UF, but some are still deciding if they should pick us or not.
Yeah, the chemical engineering program, we have about 130 graduate students, approximately half of which are master's students. And we also strongly encourage the master's students to do research in our department. And we also have the option of doing a master's with a thesis. We also have a large faculty already, and we are looking to hire and expand more. We have 27 faculty members already, and we have all kinds of different areas. We have nanomaterials, we have biotech, we also have semiconductor processing technology, catalysis, all the conventional areas of chemical engineering, as well as new cutting edge areas. And for the master's students, we have a separate lab class called the Advanced Chem Bio Lab, which really provides the master's students to areas of chemical engineering which are new and emerging, such as semiconductor processing, and we also have experiments dealing with DNA and CRISPR and all of the exciting new technologies that are emerging in those areas. That's one of our most popular classes.
Okay, thank you. So Christina's not able to join us for computer and information sciences and engineering, but she is here in spirit. If you look at that back row of that picture right there, second to the left in the back, that's a picture of her. And we do have the most number of master's students from this department. It's a very exciting time as they're going to be moving into the new information technology building for the headquarters of their department towards the end of next year. We have the whole AI initiative being tagged AI University across the country for University of Florida. And a lot of that takes place on this department. I know she always mentions for their classes not to worry about being able to select your classes. They have lots of classes. They open those up over the summer, and as students are registering, they'll open up more sections of those classes, so you have those available. And then she also mentions that many students may want to take a class in another department, so that's an option too. All of the master's classes do not have to be in that department. I know that many would also like to take a class in our electrical and computer engineering department and perhaps some other areas. So she's good with email if you reach out to her, but I know she's has a very large volume right now, so don't overwhelm her with that. Okay, Catherine and ISE.
Hello, thanks, Mike. So ISE has a few options for masters. We do have the EDGE program, which is completely online. And then we have non-thesis and thesis. If you are interested in the thesis track and you have an idea of what you would like your research to be in, definitely reach out to me. If you have an idea of who you would like your faculty supervisor to be, reach out to me as well. Registration, typically I request that the students email me for registration. If you're a newly admitted MS student, you probably have a few registration holds on your 1.uf. So I would suggest that you check those and clear those holds first before you reach out for registration. If you have not received an official admission letter, those are coming as soon as possible. So again, if there are any questions, please feel free to email me. If you have any questions about your curriculum, EDGE curriculum and thesis curriculum, non-thesis curriculum, they're all a little different. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks.
Okay, great. So we also have some department rankings. So there's rankings per university, and then there's rankings for individual engineering departments. And you can see there's many of those that are ranked here among the top 20 and the top 10 all across institutions in the US. So we're quite proud of those. And all of our faculty and our staff work very hard to achieve these efforts. So another large department here today is electrical and computer engineering. So Cynthia, would you like to highlight a few areas?
Yes, hi. So we have the master's program. It's thesis and non-thesis. All of our students are admitted under non-thesis, and you have almost a year to decide if you want to switch to thesis. But most of our students do choose non-thesis, although the thesis program is becoming more popular. So within those, the non-thesis program is 30 credits, and the thesis and non-thesis, 30 credits. Non-thesis, you need 21 credits in ECE coursework, and the other 9 credits you can take from another department if you so desire. A lot of students choose CISE and courses offered by the college. If you're doing a thesis, that's 18 credits in ECE, and the other coursework would come from courses outside of ECE, and then also the research credits that you must take. Let me see what else. We also require well, the graduate school requires a final exam that's required for those doing a non-thesis. We also have the EDGE program, which is completely online. So if you don't want to do campus, then you can do the EDGE program, which is very popular. And lately we admitted a lot of students to the EDGE program. And as far as registration, you register yourself. We offer lots of courses, fall and spring, not so many for summer, but we do try to offer we try to be consistent and offer the same courses in summer, and actually pretty much for fall and spring too. We try to be consistent as much as possible anyway. So that's pretty much our program.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. And everyone can feel free to keep asking individual questions of any of our department reps as well. So our largest department in the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering, if you count all of the student enrollment, undergraduate and graduate, is actually mechanical and aerospace engineering. And Karen Ellers is here today to highlight a few areas.
Just to clarify our rankings, I'm not sure we were listed in the mechanical, I didn't see it, but Mike, I'll just say for our department in mechanical and aerospace, we are 15th among publics and 26th overall in publics and privates for that department. So we're so pleased and happy to invite all those who are still wavering on UF to select mechanical and aerospace. As Mike said, we are one of the largest department on campus between graduate and undergraduate. We have many new faculty hires, 4 who are coming on board as of fall. And I think we have 3 more processes in progress. So we have a lot of new and exciting research opportunities, both for master's non-thesis and master's thesis, because just because you don't choose to do a master's thesis doesn't mean you're excluded from research opportunities. Some students choose to do an individual project with the faculty. And so once you're here on campus, we're happy to have those conversations about getting you exposed into research, and possibly for those master's students who are considering, they're not quite sure yet that they might be interested in a PhD, but they want to look at that later. Those are always opportunities once you've started here as a master's student to then try to secure funding to move on to our PhD program. And we always love to hear when we've provided a good experience and that you want to stay. We're happy to invite you to our graduate student orientation that will be held live and online right before the term starts. So pay attention to the emails that will come out. During that time, we give you a full orientation on our curriculum, our degree requirements, meet faculty, and you also meet students and have interaction on what the curriculum looks like based on your career or professional goals, and how you can meet those curriculum choices based on the courses that we offer. And so we look forward to having all those conversations. And if you have any questions about anything in particular, please do let me know.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, we actually have like 3 sets of rankings that come out annually between department rankings across the US and college rankings and university rankings. And UF's been moving up in so many of these rankings for so long that I can't even keep the slides updated enough. So I'll be sure to get those updated for the next one we have. So our final department update is our Department of Materials Science and Engineering, which also includes nuclear engineering. So Ade?
Yes, thank you. Welcome again, everybody. And for material science, we have the material science and engineering, and we also have the nuclear engineering program, both thesis and non-thesis in both of those programs. For the both programs is 30 credits towards the master's degree program. In terms of registration, we register you for your courses. We have a form that you will fill out. And if you have questions about the curriculum or things like that, we have faculty advisors that can also assist you with that. But there's a form that you fill out for your registration, and then we will register you for your courses. We are still actively offering admission decisions. So if you haven't received your decision, that should be coming up within the next week or so. And also we'll be sending out information regarding orientation. We do plan on having orientation prior to the fall semester. We're not having one for summer just because we don't admit a lot of people, even though we do have some admits for summer. It's not a large group, but the fall is quite large, so we would combine that, but we will be sending out that information, so please be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions about any of the classes or curriculum or anything regarding the department, feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we do have the several flavors of master's degree, and you heard many of the departments mention that. Most students take 2 years, which is 4 semesters, 16 weeks per semester. A few are able to get done in a year and a half, and really the only ones that get done and sooner, and that would be our own University of Florida undergraduates who stay for a combined 5-year program. It's the bachelor's and the master's combined. And then there's the EDGE online program, which is very similar because we film the classes live. So you'd watch them live or they're recorded and posted, or you watch them later that same day. So you've been hearing everybody talking about the volume and with admissions and all the applications, where these are the actual numbers. So we received over 4,200 applications for masters across all departments for this fall. I'm sure that number is even higher since I put this slide together about a month or so ago. When I looked yesterday morning, I saw more than 1,900 students that were in the admission for masters across departments. I think we're getting closer to 1,950, but there's still, from what you hear, still a few hundred more that are being processed. So the last couple years, we had between 2,200 and 2,400 that were admitted. So I would suspect that we will probably be somewhere in that range within the next few weeks as things get wrapped up. The GRE test scores was waived for many departments this year. Some of the students that are admitted are deferred from the previous year. And we typically have 800 to 900 students that actually enroll in the fall for our master's program. So that's all the data as we know it. So the accept or decline is April 15th, but there's some flexibility with that. So a lot of times I see departments allowing till May 1st. And if you get admitted late, then you always get to have a minimum of 2 weeks to make that decision. So this, I'm sure this text looks familiar with here for all of you here. So when you're admitted, then try to put your decision online. Definitely tell the departments, the graduate staff here, what your decision is. But by entering it online, it gets updated to the many electronic systems. And I'm sure you're all familiar with all the databases and systems. And once the decision is in one system, then it triggers other things being sent to you, whether it's housing or financial aid or this or that. Excuse me. So students that only email a decision and doesn't get updated in a system, then you can still tend to get emails that might not be applicable to you. So we certainly encourage and want everybody to do that. So Ethel talked about the cost of attendance for international students. It's certainly less than that for domestic students, especially if you don't need a student visa. So this is kind of a chart of those in the top 10. So you've seen that we had moved up into the number 5 ranking position among public universities in the US. But out of those same 10 institutions, we're actually number 1 for the most cost-effective tuition and number 1 for the cost of living index. So here's a couple of metrics that I looked up. You can certainly do your own Google searches and look around, and I'm confident you'll find very similar numbers towards this, but it's more cost effective to live in Gainesville versus some of these other bigger cities and other cities across the US. And then our tuition is very cost effective. So I know students are very appreciative of that. So there is the Master's Award. So if you enroll on campus, this is not applicable for EDGE because EDGE is already a discounted tuition. If you enroll in a master's program full-time, you are guaranteed the $4,500 Academic Achievement Award if you're a non-Florida resident. If you're a Florida resident, your tuition is going to be much cheaper than that slide that we just showed you. So there's not much more discount to give. So if you're from another state or another country, we don't have any limits on this. We award this to everybody. And the way that works is you get $1,500 off your tuition for 3 straight semesters. So this is great. We already have cost-effective tuition, but we could still add this on top of this, and we do not have any limit. The only tricky point that I've seen for this the last couple of years is that for those of you that applied in CISE. So we do have CS majors in class, which is our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. It doesn't work for class. So for some reason you applied computer science in class, but you really meant to be in engineering, then you need to get that switched, because if you don't get that switched over, then we cannot apply that award. You'd have to get a hold of Christina Sapp, and she'd have to switch it officially in the system, but she can certainly do that. Some of the classes would actually be the same and identical, but the biggest difference is if you want your final master's degree to say liberal arts degree or engineering degree. And I know most students in the technology field prefer it to be engineering. So another large area that everybody's interested in that comes for our master's programs are what's going to happen when you graduate. And that's on the job front and the career front. And so we provide assistance for all of our students. And what we have is the Career Connection Center. And their only job, their only mission is to assist our students, our undergraduate students and our graduate students, with gaining employment with companies or other entities, governmental entities, et cetera, or assisting them with career searches or helping them to seek internships. And we have hundreds of companies that come and visit University of Florida throughout the year. We have companies that come every single week of the year. And then we have 2 large case events, which is called the Career Showcase. This is actually a picture of that. It's hosted in our basketball arena in the fall term, and we do it again in the spring term, where there'll be hundreds and hundreds of companies here at once. And so we offer that for our master's students, and we're very happy that we do that. But we also have departments that will offer individual career fairs just for you. And that's where they invite companies just to meet with their own students that are interested in hiring those students in that certain area. And I know our computer and information science and engineering has a very large individual career fair and workshop. And it might be around the same time as the fall fair, maybe a day or 2 before or after, or it might be a completely separate time of the year. And a lot of our departments do this. SE is civil engineering, coastal engineering, environmental engineering. They have a separate one for their students. And then industrial and systems does as well. So Catherine, do you want to speak a few more words about this?
Yes, so our career fair, it may not be as big as CISE, but we do have our career fair, and it's usually in September, so the fall timeframe. We will announce the specifics of that soon, so we're putting that together. Our student ambassadors are very involved with it, so definitely a great opportunity for internships. A lot of students, a lot of ISE graduate students, whether they are international or domestic, they land internships within their first year, their first academic year. So very important for that. Thanks, Mike.
Do any of our department reps want to talk about any other things that they do or want to highlight in their departments to help the master's students with careers or opportunities?
Mike, I'll jump in if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in BME, we have 2 events for master's and doctoral students. They're called Industry Connect and Alumni Connect. And what we do is we bring biomedical industry representatives into our building to network with our students, to talk about employment opportunities or internship opportunities. It's very popular amongst the master's students because a lot of them are planning to go into industry afterwards. Some not, but it's very popular with our master's students. And Alumni Connect is somewhat similar, but it's alumni focused, obviously. So we bring in alumni from our program to talk about their career paths and provide inroads to wherever they might be, whether it's an industry or a government position or academia even. So those are two things that we do in BME for career opportunities for our students.
Great, thank you. I'll be sure, send me an email on that a little more and I'll add a slide to that before Thursday. Do any of the other departments here want to highlight anything extra you might do for prospective admitted master's students? Okay. Okay, so I know if you're moving here from another area, then you certainly are thinking about housing. And there's lots of housing in Gainesville. We have some on-campus housing. We tend to have more on-campus housing, I think, for our undergraduate students, but there are some graduate student housing options. And they've been building some new housing on campus and are renovating lots of our existing residence halls. This is kind of a 10-year project where each summer, each year, they do have a few more buildings that they're working on. And I hear lots of talk about new graduate student housing being a part of this. And so there is some on campus, but I think you'll find that the majority live off campus in different locations in town. And there's lots of apartment complexes, lots of new apartment complexes. In fact, for people that come to Gainesville, it's hard to come through Gainesville and not notice at least 7 or 8 or 9 cranes for high rises of projects that are up and going and have been for several years now. So I don't personally live in Gainesville. I live in a little town called McIntosh, just about 20 miles south. So I'm going to let some of our other department reps who live in Gainesville that can talk about this with a little more experience than me. And I might start with Jacob, our new staff. You mentioned you were a lifelong Gainesville resident. So what would you like to say about housing for someone moving here?
Yeah, I tell you, housing is really good in Gainesville. You get a lot of bang for your buck because naturally the city overall, just as a community, anybody with a building, they are wanting to attract students. So there's a lot of resources put into renovating, keeping everything up to date, and focused on that community option. So when you want to be tucked away on your own, perfect. There's a place for that. When you want to be out in the rec room of your building, there's a place for that. If you like nature, if you like nightlife, we really have it all from A to Z.
Okay, with some other people, reps that live around Gainesville like to talk and maybe even give students a range of prices, like what would it cost, right?
Oh, well, I won't talk about what it costs because I've lived here way too long and I have a home, but I will say, to tag on to Jacob's comment, one of the lovely things about our area is some of the attractions external to just the core university campus housing, which is we have a ton of trails and the lovely Hogtown Creek distribution for our aquifer that serves Florida. So there's all kinds of running trails and athletic events on campus and abroad, and as well as out in the community. There we have a community playhouse, as well as a state regional theater that has nationally recognized plays downtown. So there, as well as 2 or 3, it might be 3 now, professional dance companies, one that often perform at the Performing Arts Center, as well as world-renowned acts that we attract there. So there's a lot to do for a small community.
Great. Yep, lots going on here. Was it, I forget, was it Catherine or Krista that lives in Gainesville that commented last time?
It might have been me.
Okay.
I do live in Gainesville. So I actually live really close to campus, and I am not a lifelong Gainesville resident by any stretch of the imagination. I've been here only 2 years. So I had to find an apartment not only during the pandemic, but kind of in a strange time when I accepted my new position. So I did find, if you're looking for apartments, they tend to get snatched up pretty quickly. I found mine through, I think, Zillow or Trulia, one of the actually real estate apps. So there's a lot of resources out there to help you find things. Prices are pretty reasonable for the location where I am. I have a 2-bedroom apartment and I pay $850 a month, and that's including like a pet fee because I have a dog. So I found it to be pretty reasonable, and I'm within, oh gosh, I mean, on a bad day, probably 10-minute drive from campus and within walking distance from campus. So.
Okay, great. And we also have a good busing system. So we have a busing system that goes across campus that's free, and a busing system that goes throughout Gainesville or popular locations in Gainesville. So you don't need to have a car to be in Gainesville. You can certainly get around for all of your needs. So sports is always a very big thing here. We have 2 flavors of sports. We have NCAA sports against all the top institutions in the US, competitive sports, pretty much every sport for men's and women's that you can think of exists here at University of Florida. They've won a lot of national championships in a lot of areas. But we also have intramural sports, which is students that just want to play against other students for fun. And they have lots of those going on. There's lots of fields and areas spread through all around campus where students kind of take over at night, and I see them out there just playing games for fun. So it's a great thing to take in, and I know a lot of our students take advantage of this. So Karen talked a little bit about Gainesville. I'll see if anybody else wants to mention or highlight something fun that they like to do. This kind of gives you a picture of where we're located, and we're close to some of the other big cities around. My favorite thing to do is to go about 70 minutes directly to the east over to the Atlantic Ocean into a wonderful town called St. Augustine. And there's a little beach just south of that that's called Butler Beach. And I probably go there 20 or 25 times a year. So that's one of my most favorite things to do. How about some of our other panelists?
Floating down the springs is a lot of fun too, especially on a hot summer day.
You might have to mention that. What springs?
There's several around the area. I mean, but there's Jenny Springs, there's Blue Springs, there's a whole bunch of them.
So that's Mike Seifer. He's our behind the scenes IT guy who's speaking up there. So for springs, they're cool springs that are all around here. So I grew up out west near Yellowstone in Idaho, and we had lots of hot springs everywhere, but they have lots of wonderful cool springs around here, and they're very popular. Jacob, other recommendations from you?
I certainly second the a trip to the springs. There's if you've ever enjoyed a nice cold bottled water on a hot summer day, imagine getting submerged in something even cooler and more clear.
Okay, so we also have some social media accounts, and I'm sure some of you have been following us, and many departments have these as well on lots of different areas. So here's some of the contacts. Here's a bunch of the individuals that were online today and their emails. And again, we're going to post these slides by Friday. You've been in touch with lots of them today, but feel free to stay in touch. So now we've tried to go over a lot of different areas. It's been about an hour, but we could certainly answer a few more questions. So I haven't really been watching the chat line except seeing the numbers of all the tickers of questions that have gone out and answered. Have any of you seen like maybe a question that we should address here in front of everybody? Or if anybody has a last burning question and they'd like to type that in, then maybe Jacob could kind of monitor that and just tell me what those are, read them out, and we can kind of see who can answer those among us now.
I'll keep an eye out for some of those burning questions and look back a little ways.
Did anybody else see one that we feel we should address again in front of everybody, or that you've been answering a bunch today?
I see one student who's asking if we can switch between theses to non-theses. So at least in chemical engineering, you don't have to decide to do a thesis up to your, like in your last semester. That's when you, if you want to do a thesis and have a committee, you can decide at the very end.
So yes, the answer to that question was yes, there was flexibility in the chemical engineering department, and having worked with all the departments for 8 years now, I would say that a lot of our departments are very flexible with a lot of areas. Of course, with most areas, the sooner you know and the sooner you can let everybody know that, the easier that will be on you. Ethel, was there a particular area for the F1 that you needed to kind of address again that you've been answering over and over, or?
No, actually, there haven't been too many questions specific to me. I've answered what I could, but nothing that really stood out.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. I'm just going to let our panelists, if they have one final thought that they would like to mention or a piece of any words of wisdom. And so we'll start with Ade.
Yeah, I would say, if, again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And I think I forgot to mention that we also do have the EDGE program in the material science. I know that's a popular choice for everybody, but we will be sending out some information within the next day or two. So please be on the lookout in terms of registration and the orientation information. So please be on the lookout for that. And we hope to see you here on campus or online in the program.
Okay, great. We're just going to work our way and reverse up the chart. So Karen?
I'll just second what all the other speakers and presenters have said. We're just so happy that you considered or have already accepted your admission to mechanical and aerospace. And if there's any questions or concerns that you have, just please reach out. I love the university. I'm a 3-time Gator, and there's a reason I've been here for 30 years, because it's a great place to live and experience our academic community.
Great. Cynthia?
So if you've already accepted, congratulations to UF and your admission to ECE. If you have not been admitted, I can't say exactly when you'll receive a decision, but hopefully soon. I don't handle the admission letters, but you can always email office@ece.ufl.edu, and someone there should answer that email and be able to tell you when you'll receive your admission status. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hello. So yes, in ISC, same thing as everyone else. Please make sure that you email me if you have any questions. I'm more than willing to meet with the students, whether in person or on Zoom. So if you would prefer to have an appointment, I'm more than happy to do so. We will have an orientation session a little later in the summer, so I'll be sure to communicate all of that with you. If you have not received an admission letter and you have any questions, you can follow up with me on that part as well. And I look forward to working with you all. Thanks.
All right. Sumant?
Thank you all for attending the session. For chemical engineering, if you have any questions about the classes or orientation, you can direct them to me. And later on in the summer, I saw a question about WhatsApp groups and things like that. We will put together a Teams channel for students who have accepted the admission, and that way we can disseminate information, particularly information about Gainesville and finding apartments and things like that. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. Krista?
Oops. Yes, so what was I going to say? A few things that I didn't mention earlier. Biomedical engineering is very closely tied to the College of Medicine here at UF. We are actually a little bit further south on campus than some of the other engineering buildings. We're closer to the medical campus than we are to most of the engineering buildings. So with that said, our program is really interdisciplinary in that you can take courses through not only other engineering departments, but also through the College of Medicine. I think we're one of the few, if not the only department on campus who has an agreement already with the College of Medicine that our students can enroll in their courses. So it's just something unique about our program. I will say about admissions, if you've received your admission letter, that's awesome. We're so excited to have you, but if you have not, please don't panic. Feel free to reach out to the email address that's listed there. It's grad@bme.ufl.edu. I'll be happy to check on the admission status for you. But right now, I think there's just a little bit of a backlog in the admissions office, so it's taking a little bit of time for everything to get out. But please don't panic. We are so excited to have you apply, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you hopefully in the fall.
Okay, great. Ethel?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing that would want to remind students is to have a little bit of patience with us. We are getting the applications for I-20s and the decisions coming out and everything is really ramping up right now. So I know everybody's anxious to know their admission status and get their letters and get their I-20s if they're going to need visas. So we are handling an increasingly large volume starting right now. And so please do contact us if you have questions specific to you about the I-20 process or the visa matters. But please be patient. Know that we'll get to you as soon as we're able.
Great. Jacob?
I tell you, the university here, UF and Gainesville, are a great place to be. I know I personally am excited to be here, just in this town, in this place every day. As you know, as I've mentioned, lifelong Gainesville resident, and I'm not looking to travel anywhere else or for, living. Travel's fun. So, if this is looking like it's your place to find yourself, find your community, build up your professional credentials, and really dive into what your career is building on and building to and doing, I tell you, this is a great place for it.
All right. And Toshi?
Yes, here at the College of Engineering, we talk about Gator Engineering and the Gator Engineering family. We have a tremendous group of outstanding faculty, staff, and students, and we hope that many of you choose to make this your home. Thank you.
All right, great. So I hope that you've all find that this has been informational and productive. We try hard to have these webinars and make them relevant and put the latest information, not just the same stuff we've always done. And you can see that we're committed because it's after 5 o'clock and we're all still here. So we all feel very passionately, and we do feel this would be the best place for you. And when students come in the fall, I'm often moving on to the next batch of master's and PhD students that we're recruiting for a future year. But we have our current students help us in a lot of our events. And I always ask a lot of them, are you happy to be here? Are you glad that you picked University of Florida? And almost all of them say yes. Now, I won't say all of them do, maybe 1 in 10 or a couple in 100 don't, but almost all of them say yes. They're very happy that they made a good choice. So try to remember that when you're making your final decision, and everybody's here to help you out. So if you have any remaining questions, please do let us know. And thanks again for taking the time to come and learn more about University of Florida with us. So we hope to see you in the fall. So take care.
Mike, see you in 2 days.